Hey there, this is Pat Ennis of Ennis Legacy Partners. Welcome to the Exit Readiness Podcast. I'm here with co-host Walter Dial, CPA and tax partner at GRF CPAs and Advisors, and here in Bethesda, Maryland. Our mission here on the podcast is to provide you, the business owner, with subject matter expertise on topics pertaining to building a sellable or transferable business, and then for planning your eventual exit from the business. If you've listened to us at any point in the past, you've heard us mention the certainty that all business owners will stop being business owners at some point. And so there's no better time to begin planning for the inevitable than the present. The earlier you begin planning, the more options you will have for a successful exit. However, like any strategic plan, it can be tough to know how and where to begin planning. And so that's our topic for today, today's discussion, where we've got an exit. The topic is an exit planning checklist for 2022. As we wrap up this year, 2021, it's an ideal time. We're all doing it, right? We're thinking about what we accomplished in 2021, and we're looking forward to what are we going to accomplish in 2022. Well, hopefully you've already started to think through and plan for your exit. But if not, this checklist is meant to help you to get started, knowing where to begin. It's a baseline checklist. It's not exhaustive, but boy, if you haven't done anything and you do what we mentioned today on this checklist in 2022, you're going to be in a lot better shape than you are currently if you've not done anything. And the checklist then has three categories that we're going to talk about today. Number one, decide where you want to go. Okay, with any strategic plan, you're going to do that. You're going to establish clear goals and objectives. And in this case, clear goals and objectives for exit, and then your life after the business or after you exit. And then the second category would be, okay, let's assess where we are in light of those goals. Without accurate data, all planning, strategic planning or whatever planning becomes meaningless. So we need to assess and analyze where we are in light of the goals that we have for the business and for ourselves personally. And then number three, we need to then design and implement a plan to build the transferable value or the sellable value, and then comprehensively plan for whatever exit route is going to make the most sense in accomplishing our goals and objectives. So Walter, let's get started with if you could just get started talking about the first category, decide where you want to go, the establishing clear goals. And then I'll follow on with the number two, assess where you are.
Okay, great. So, I kind of go back to what we call the three universal exit planning questions, which is, when do you want to leave your business? To whom do you want to leave it? And what do you need financially to secure a successful retirement or exit? And certainly when we're looking at deciding where you want to go, those first two questions, I kind of, those are very important. So when do you want to leave the business? And this can, all these kind of one of the really interesting things about the whole exit planning field, and we've really seen this over the last few years, is there's so many different goals and priorities that have to be considered. Nothing is just a simple answer. So, it's in order to figure out or to, start the whole process of determining when you want to leave your business, one of the really important factors is, what are you going to be doing post-exit? Because if your plan is to start a charitable foundation and do all this great stuff, well, then you probably don't want to wait until you're 85 to exit your business. So things like that, you really need to have a handle on what are you going to be doing post-exit? What's your post-exit life plan? And that's, I think, an area we see is probably one of the weakest when it comes to working with clients. And Pat, that's an area that I think you really excel at, is helping clients, number one, realize how important that is. And then number two, help them focus on it and begin to make decisions, and you bring in the whole family and everything. So that's a really critical piece of what we do and what you do specifically. And then, the idea of who do you want to transfer the business to, that's going to impact when do you want to leave. You can sell to a third party quicker. You may, if you try to do it too quick, you may not receive full value. But if you want to do things like transfer to insiders or get a family member involved, that can take many years to get everybody up to speed and get the company in really the situation it needs to be. And then finally, the third question I mentioned was just the financial resources that you're going to need to be successful. And you need to do a gap, what we call a gap analysis, to determine that. So I guess to kind of boil it down to your question, it would be the gap analysis is a spreadsheet thing. It's something we're all comfortable with. The other parts, who do you want to transfer it to, and what are you going to be doing post-exit? Those can take a long time. You need to do maybe some uncomfortable thinking, or at least some personal in-depth thinking that maybe we're not used to doing.
Yeah, okay, those are all great points. I don't think I have anything to add, or maybe just to accentuate, put an exclamation point on, is the values-based or legacy goals that often don't even get considered until an owner's at a deal table. And you and I have talked to transaction intermediaries, investment bankers or business brokers who get to the deal table with the owner, and it's only then that the owner's deciding, oh, I don't want that to happen to my employees, or oh, I don't want the business to be moved from this community, or all those kind of things that don't get really decided and thought about until they get to the deal table, and then the deal goes sideways or just blows up completely. So yeah, that's so important, and not enough time's given to that. Before.
No, but you're really, I look at like Corby and I, we're very comfortable with the spreadsheets and the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Not so comfortable in the soft side area, having those discussions. But that's what you're perfect at. I mean, clients love.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's work I enjoy doing, and I guess it has a lot to do with. I guess it has a lot to do with just being in the financial services industry for as long as I was in. You're just taught I'm a CFP along with other things, and that's just a big part of the process. Is you've got to start with because all of that impacts the spreadsheet, as you said. You said it.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so that gives you a good. Again, this is not meant to be exhaustive, listeners, but that if you just attend to those things that Walter just mentioned in that first category of clarifying your goals and objectives, where do you want to go? You'll be in have a strong start, and then you're going to want to assess where you are and analyze the data. So you're going to want to get an estimate of business value, because there is that reality of how much money do I want and need at the end to do everything I want to do next. And so you really need to know, you need accurate information as to what's my biggest asset, which is oftentimes the case with the business. It's oftentimes the biggest asset in a portfolio, business owner's portfolio. Well, what's an accurate value so that the rest of the planning, the personal financial planning and everything else can be meaningful. If the business is your largest asset or one of them, shouldn't you know what it's really worth in the market to a potential buyer in order to do effective planning? And of course, Walter can get that done for you. If you need that done, contact him, he can get it done. Then you're going to want to assess along the line the same process, the value drivers of your business and the areas of risk. What value drivers are strong? Value drivers such as financial performance, the strength of your management team, recurring revenue, cash flow management, systems and operations, just to name a few. Value drivers, assess how weak they are, how strong they are, and what should I prioritize in strengthening based on what kind of buyer I've got in mind. And this is where the buyer, the potential buyer comes into view and is important. And then areas of risk. Areas of risk typically can be around your human resources. That can be a big area of risk. But anyway, to assess and analyze that, review your business continuity plan for life transitions and unexpected death or disability. And make sure you've got written instructions. And this is particularly important for sole owners. If you're a sole owner of a business, you have to think through, okay, does this business need to continue if I die unexpectedly or become permanently incapacitated? Would my family need the business to continue for any period of time? Or do I have values-based goals that would motivate me to want the business to continue for any period of time? Well, there needs to be a plan for that. It just doesn't happen, because if you die and you're central to the business, well, the value of the business goes down immediately. And then customers can leave, employees can leave. The value can tank. So you need a plan for that. So review your plan if you have one. If you don't have one, get one. Of course, we can help you with any of these things. Co-owners, if in regard to business continuity, if you're co-owners or partners, you should review your buy-sell agreement. If you don't have one, you should get one. But if you haven't reviewed it in the last couple of years, you should do that to make sure the document still aligns with all of the current goals of the owners. And then lastly, review your estate plan to ensure that that too, like the buy-sell agreement for co-owners, still aligns with whatever business transfer and exit goals that you have. So that's assessing where you are. Very important. So category one, where do we want to go? Where are we heading in regard to growth and exit? Category two, let's assess and analyze where we are now from a business readiness and an exit readiness perspective in light of those goals. And then category three, Walter, why don't you round it out and just maybe we can do a joint thing here, but you get started. Designing and implementing the plan.
Yeah, let me follow up on what you were just discussing, because I think one really important point is that to get an accurate assessment, at least in my view, you need a pair of eyes coming from the outside looking in. I mean, I know just recently we hired a senior tax manager. She came from PwC. And I asked her to kind of go through, all our tax files for like our 50 biggest clients, just to get an idea what we do and how we can improve. Because, I've been sitting in this chair more or less for almost 40 years. And her insight as to how they do things and how we can be doing things better and more efficiently was just, invaluable. So I think it might be helpful for listeners if you could describe the tools you use to help a client assess their value drivers, their readiness to sell, and then also the owners themselves' readiness to sell. You have some tools for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. We have something called a business insight report, which basically analyzes all those pieces you just mentioned. In addition to, we can provide an estimate of value in that report, but it goes beyond that and looks at provides a calculation as to how much the business can grow, and it's based on the way it's currently structured, which is very important. And then we look at 21 or so different value drivers and rank them or rate them and help an owner prioritize. And then too, though, along the way, it's a part of the process, as you know, is we're trying to help them decide. We're agnostic, you, me, we're agnostic as to how they exit. So we want to help them decide, all right, which exit route is going to be best for you to accomplish everything you want to accomplish as we analyze and assess this business, it seems to be that you're in pretty good shape for a strategic buyer and the market's hot. So let's look at your goals. Does that line up with your goals align with a sale to a third party? Because right now you're in good shape to do that. And the market is in good shape to do that. So should you do that? So yeah, absolutely. I kind of rambled there, I guess. But yeah, we have spreadsheets and fact finders that we analyze all those business value drivers and areas of risk as well.
Yeah, and what I really like about it is the report that you generate graphically. It's very easy to follow. It's not 100 pages of dialogue and stuff. It's it's almost like it's less than 5 pages, I think, the graphic part of it, and it's really informative.
Yeah, well, we've learned the hard way. I mean, now really we've got a report that's about 50 pages, but there's about 5 pages, as you mentioned, that are really what the owner cares about and really should care about.
Yeah, and I think having that gets us into the final stage, which is designing and implementing the plan. Because I think once you understand the value drivers are like a really critical piece. So once you understand where your business is deriving the most value and what may be holding it back, you can implement a plan that's going to address those areas. And I think something we say all the time, but really can't say it enough, is that good exit planning is just good business planning. So even if you're not planning on exiting your business, if Pat comes in and does this assessment for you, and then helps you implement some plans to hit the value drivers, I mean, I always say, I guess maybe at my age now, I focus on your life's going to be a lot better because you're going to have less hassles running your business. But you're also going to make more money. It's just going to be a much more enjoyable existence. So,
well, that's right. And that's our tagline, isn't it? On our website, enjoy life in the business, plan for life after the business. And the enjoy life in the business is, to your point, if you start building this way from day one, really, you may so enjoy life in the business, because eventually it just runs itself, that you look around and you think, why would I sell this? I mean, it's highly profitable. I have all kinds of benefits as a result of it. I'm building wealth and it runs itself. That's not unusual. But the point is this, and you made it, is that you have more options for exit if you've done that. If you haven't done that, then your options are going to be limited.
Yeah.
Now, and again, let's clarify too, our audience here, our listeners are business owners who want to or need to get value out of their business eventually, other than just an income. Like, for instance, Corby and I, to this point anyway, this may change, but to this point, we're just a lifestyle business. I started 8 years ago, no intention of getting any value out of the business at all other than income. And so it's built accordingly. But if we needed to or wanted to get, all of our clients though want to get business out of the business, and one way, or get value out of the business one way or the other.
And I think, another important point is that the business owner has to start really evaluating his advisor team and see, where he may need, there just may be a gaping hole in it, or maybe he's outgrown his attorney or his CPA or whatever. Because as we've seen, over the years, having the right team in place just makes the whole process much simpler, easier. And at the end, you're going to realize the greatest value if you have a really good team in place. We have a situation right now. One of my partners, he's got a client whose company is being acquired by a PE firm, and we talk about this a lot too. And this PE firm, I think they're doing 20 transactions a year. This guy's never sold a business. So who do you think has the advantage? It's not him. And they already tried to kind of run something hoping he wouldn't catch it, but fortunately, and he was trying to do this more or less without a team. Well, now he's kind of realizing he almost made a big mistake. So now he's pulling together people. So didn't exactly listen to our mantra of start early, but at least he's pulling the team together before it's totally too late.
Well, that's good. And this is a big area that gets overlooked sometimes, because it's not just a team, is it? But it's a team of advisors who have experience in this kind of work.
Yeah.
So if your business attorney, just a general practitioner, and they don't have a great percentage of their practice focused on M&A work, then you might have the wrong attorney on your team. Or CPA, the same thing. If the CPA doesn't have a lot of experience in this kind of work, and they're just, they're general, maybe even pretty much an accountant, and that's all they're doing, then you probably don't have the right CPA, and so on and so forth. So absolutely, it just makes everything so much more efficient, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I think, the other thing is, we certainly acknowledge, especially if you're a smaller company, that your attorney or your CPA, they may be, a really good friend. They may have, been with you for 40 years, and you don't have to fire them, but you just bring in somebody just to supplement your team to, cover the areas of strength that they don't have and that you need.
Yeah, and more often than not, we have found that those professionals who have been general practitioners, they're more than open to that.
Oh, definitely.
Because more often than not, they'll say, look, this is just not my specialty.
Right.
I need to stay in my lane and keep doing what I'm doing, but this is not my specialty. So let's get some specialized, help in here. Yep.
So I think I don't have anything else on that.
I guess we've talked about all the
area.
other pieces, right? You got to focus on in designing and implementing your plan. You really need to focus on growth and profitability today, and because at the core of tomorrow's successful exit plan is today's profitability and plan for growth. You mentioned the value drivers that are key to driving the value of the business. And plan for growth, and the team advisors. So in closing, okay, so let me just summarize again. The three categories would be where are you now? Where do you want to go? Number one, decide where you want to go, clarifying goals and objectives. Category number two, assess where you are. Category number three, then design and implement a plan with the right advisors, an experienced group of advisors. All right, so that's it. And, in closing, of course, we're going to again strongly exhort you to begin planning today, because it's going to take a lot longer than you think. And, you can find a copy of this checklist that we reviewed today with you on the Ennis Legacy Partners blog. Just this week, did a blog post with this same topic. So you can find it there. And if you want help, of course, in executing the exit planning checklist that we've gone over today, you can contact Walter at 301-951-9090 or me at 301-859-0860. If you contact either one of us, you'll probably end up meeting the other, because we work so closely together in client engagements. And both of us, he and I and our firm, we offer initial no obligation, introductory or exploratory conversations or meetings. The first conversation which is usually Zoom at this point, is no obligation and there's no charge for it. And then you can also access resources at grfcpa.com, nslp.com, and exitreadiness.com. And if you establish an account, which costs nothing to do, for online resources at exitreadiness.com, you can use the coupon code podcast if indeed you purchase one of the products, and you'll receive a 10% discount. So thanks for listening. Until next time on the Exit Readiness podcast, this is Pat Ennis and Walter Dial signing off.